Yo, 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 what is up, everybody? Chris here from Big Sports News, Axe Rotation, however the flip you know me on these interwebs. And today I'm going to be bringing you guys something a little bit different. Today I'm going to be talking about the issues that we have in Call of Duty on the competitive side, where they stem from, how I think they can be fixed, and yeah, really just what I think is going to happen going forward. Some of the issues we have are honestly, community issues, others are the result of the game, etc., and I'll get into both. So, without further ado, we'll start with the big elephant in the room, the anti-cheat that doesn't work. Obviously, that's on the developers. I'm not sure what the deal with the Ricochet anti-cheat is. They said something about making changes going into Season 2. I'm not sure if that means that they're going to improve the quality of the anti-cheat, or if that just means that they're going to, fix things within the game, in the sandbox. But I'm hoping that means that cheaters will get banned, anti-cheat will be implemented at the kernel level so people can't yak on us, and it'll actually work, right? Like, it'll actually ban people as expected, and it'll be like the Valorant anti-cheat. I mean, Valorant's anti-cheat is very aggressive, and it works. Like, you have to install it. If Vanguard is not running, they'll make you restart your whole PC before you can play the game. It's great. I mean, it's not that hard to do. Clearly, if Riot was able to do it and it works, it's doable. I mean, it's not like it doesn't exist. It's not a pipe dream. So that's on them. That's something that's seriously harmed our competitive community because people like myself are like disincentivized, right? Like I want to compete in challengers, but it's like if I'm getting yacked on, what's the point of me wasting my Saturday playing a cup? So I mean, it's like why even go compete when you don't know how many people are cheating? It deters a lot of people. It's definitely deterred me recently. So something that they definitely need to fix, but that's on the devs. Maps not being really that deep obviously is a big problem. When the game shipped, the maps were not really fun. No one was having fun on them. We got Hacienda, of course, which is great, and we're getting more maps in Season 2, which is absolutely fantastic. But the maps are definitely something that need to be focused on and strongly improved for the competitive scene to have more strength to grow and just thrive as it is, right? With really uninteresting maps, people just don't want to watch. They just don't. Like, that is what it is. Like, if the maps suck, the fans are not interested. Casuals are not watching if the maps suck. They're just not, because they're not playing. So, yeah, the devs definitely need to give us some more maps, but that's always just the result of time in Call of Duty. If the launch maps aren't great, then you just gotta wait for DLC, and that's what we're doing. So, hopefully the devs give us some solid ones that we can really sink our teeth into and implement into the rotation to get rid of some of the ones that are a little bit less desirable. I'm not going to name names, but yeah, you guys know the ones. So that's the maps. The meta, that's on us. I feel like the meta could have been a little bit healthier this year with snipers being added in, but the pros, they were, I don't know. I feel like it was a little bit like short-sighted with this one. I understand the snipers, the cheese with the smokes and all that, but with the devs not giving us anything, you got to do something to try to grow the scene. And that is on you as the pro players and us as the community to support and keep things healthy. But I don't know. I feel like restricting the meta on the pro side is not conducive to the growth of the game from a viewer perspective. I don't think like a restrictive meta is going to encourage more people to play Call of Duty. The point of Call of Duty is the variation in loadout, right? You can choose your gun and you can customize it. That's what makes it very different from Battlefield and a lot of these other guns where you pretty much have a couple guns everybody uses, but the attachments really can't be changed in a lot of games that much. Like, you log on to Battlefield, you change a couple things, but not that many. And I played a good amount of Battlefield. I was a sniper, so you gotta change those around. But I mean, you don't really get to change that much. So yeah, I mean, not catering to really Call of Duty's strength as a first-person shooter is a little bit off the mark to me. I hope the pros definitely get a little bit more on the mark with that one. I mean, if you think about some of our most successful like Call of Duty games, we've had very healthy metas. Obviously, Black Ops 4 is the one that comes to mind. First of all, we had the Maddox, we had the ICR, we had the SOG. I mean, there were a lot of viable weapons in there. You could have even used like GKS, other stuff you wanted to. Like Black Ops games usually have a pretty healthy meta, and I feel like we should lean on that like, on the competitive side. The fans also would likely want to see more variation too. I feel like to make the game more interesting and to get a more casual offering out there, you got to use the guns that casuals are using. Like when I go into matchmaking, like you know what I definitely don't see people using? Yeah, the aims. You know what I don't see people using? The Jackal. So it's just kind of like, I don't know. Like, I feel like the meta sometimes should reflect certain things that the community at large actually likes to use. Like, I am a competitive player as well, but I mean, we have to make some sort of general offering to the general public for this to grow. Otherwise, it's just going to be a continual, like, thing. Like, we're not going to grow. It's just going to stagnate as it is, and it's going to shrink, right? Like, I don't know. Like, the meta not being very enticing to the casual audience is a big problem to me as to why we're having some issues. I feel like there should maybe just be one gun added, or maybe snipers or something, some sort of variation to make it interesting, but just two guns and everybody doing the same stuff on the map. For casuals, why would I watch that? Where's the 3-point shot? So, yeah, the league, that's on the devs. I mean, the league is literally sanctioned and run by the owners of the IP. So, it's all in-house. Yeah, the league, like the whole structure of it, the franchising, the inclusion of the entire amateur scene from Call of Duty and the competitive side. I mean, there's just so much to unpack. I feel like I would have to make a separate video going over everything wrong with the league itself. And I just don't feel like doing that. That's not my lane. I'm an analyst. I don't really do a lot of the hate pieces and like COD sucks. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to inject some reality into it and just kind of like look at things from a different perspective, like a higher level perspective, looking at the business element, the competitive side, and everything in between. So, yeah, the league, I feel like it was just kind of set up to fail, and it's one of those things where it's like an illness that needs to be sweated out at this point. I feel like we're sweating it out, but they returned the money back to the teams. Hastro just bought back Envy. Nature's Healing, I saw Jason Lake bought back Complexity. It seems like the franchising thing in esports is kind of dead. I mean, we're seeing a lot of people like Oxygen Esports, like guys like Robert Kraft, they're like vesting out. I feel like it's changing a lot. The league structure was not great. Microsoft did buy Call of Duty, the IP itself, and I feel like if anything, the CDL will start to look a lot more like the HCS. And the HCS is all about grassroots promoting content creators like myself. They do a lot to work with content creators like myself and showcase them at events and things. I mean, I've been making content in COD for years, and I've been one of the only people, probably the only person, who's been making the content that I've been making, going over the results of matches every week, breaking down the stats. I mean, there's no reason why the Call of Duty League themselves shouldn't have been promoting my content because I'm a person who helps to keep this league alive. Like, that's not even me being arrogant. I've been doing this for 7 years for free. Like, this helps to keep the league alive. When people watch it, they get a better understanding of the game, and it keeps them interested in the game because I'm exposing them to aspects they wouldn't understand. Why not promote that? So, yeah, I mean, I think with Microsoft buying it, things will be different. I think people like myself will definitely start to be incorporated into the community in a more meaningful way to help. Content creators help the community a lot. I try to help people a lot to understand the game better and to enjoy it more. I mean, that should just be applauded like it is in the Halo side. So that's the league issue. Honestly, a lot of these NFL and NBA and whatever team owners coming together to make a like brick and mortar version of basically what they had in the video game realm, just insane. I mean, destined to fail. So, on to the next thing, which is on the community, and that is streaming scrims. Yeah, I mean, I started watching Call of Duty like back in middle school during MW3. Yeah, I'm that old. So, yeah, like my best friend at the time, he got me into it. He was like, blah, you should play Call of Duty with me. So I get it. And I was like, man, I really suck at this game. I should learn how to get better. So I looked up Call of Duty, Black Ops 2, I'll never forget. And I found this red-haired guy who was in high school. His name was Scump. And I saw him, the first thing I saw from him, because this was few months after I had been playing COD, and I was just like, damn, I gotta get better at this. I saw him play Gold Glove on Carrier, and he dropped like 88 kills. I'll see if I can find the video. But it was the first COD video I ever saw, and I saw Scump destroy Gold Glove and a bunch of other streamers who I actually knew of, and I was like, oh my god, he destroyed some of my favorite streamers. Like, this guy's really good. Like, I want to be that good. So then I started watching Scump, and that's where I got hooked on competitive. And because Scump would always stream his scrims and everything, I was like, wow, like this guy is really good, and he's not that much older than me, and he streams every day, and he plays every day, and I can watch him and learn how to get better at the game. So I watch him every day, I learn how to get better at the game, and then later on, I found other people. I watch this guy. His name was Fizzerp. Yeah, if you guys know, you know. R.I.P. to Fizz. He's the GOAT. That's the guy who got me into S&D. I never cared about S&D until I saw Fizz, how he liked to play with the smokes and stuff. Dude, man, it was so sad, like, when he passed, man. It was rough, but he was, like, really important in the community. I mean, people still talk about him to this day. Smokes out for Fizz. He was like an S&D mastermind. He taught a lot of us how to play S&D the right way. Like, he was a big reason why a lot of us got into S&D the way we did. Honestly, Call of Duty has always been about personalities. Like, that's the thing that these pros are not understanding with the streaming scrims issue. It's always been about personalities. Optic is not about the logo. That's what Hex has always said. It's about the people in the org. Hector has always been right about that. Esports has always been a player-first industry. And if you're a pro player and you're not streaming scrims, I'm sorry, but you just don't understand what industry you're in. If you don't, I wrote an article about it breaking down what the player first model is. I'm not being condescending, but sometimes you just don't know what industry you're in. If you're not entertaining people and you're a pro player, you don't understand what industry you're in, you're an entertainer, you're also a competitive player, you should be competing, yes, but a part of your job also requires you to entertain people. That is how you keep your spot. That's how you sustain yourself after this ends. So, yeah, pros not streaming scrims, cardinal sin number one as a pro or a content creator in the video gaming space. So, yeah, I'm never going to support that, especially since I have like a regular job. Like, nah, like no free clout. Like, a lot of us are out here like working regular jobs. Like, I gotta travel for my job and stuff, and like, no excuse. Like, everybody else has to do regular stuff. Like, you guys can't just like, oh no, I don't want to stream scrims, so that's not part of my job. No, bro, it is a part of your job. You're just opting out. So, challengers, that is a league issue. They've tried to like shift the blame to basically having like the orgs and the teams that host the events host it, which not cool. It's an in-house league done by the people who own the IP and operate the IP. So challengers is 100% their like thing to sort out, and I don't think it's fair that they try to like pass the buck to Optic and everybody else to fund it themselves or get stipends or whatever. They should be setting these things up, and challengers should be cultivated and maintained by the league. The fact that the league has dropped the ball to the point that they have just proves to me that Challengers was done to satiate really some buzzwords. It wasn't really a commitment to preserving the Call of Duty amateur scene. Everybody has to have a quote unquote Challengers path to pro when they do these leagues, and it's just a bunch of fluff and buzzwords. Like, very few of these leagues actually cultivate a serious amateur scene with promotion and all the things that you see in VCT. I mean, everybody else that I know of say that they're doing it, but it's like just a way for you to funnel people into open bracket if you have it, or in the case of the league, funnel in substitutes and other people like here and there, but they aren't really committed to it and they aren't serious about the viability of it or the long-term health of it. So, yeah, that's a long-term issue from the league. But like I said before, Microsoft did buy Call of Duty and they invested billions. I mean, tens of billions. I believe over 80 billion to get the deal done. And it took multiple years. They had to sweeten the deal by like allowing Call of Duty to come to Nintendo, which is how we found out about the Switch 2. They had to make all those deals with Sony. A lot of good faith stuff in the UK to get it put through there. I mean, if you guys were reading about it, they had to jump through a lot of hoops to acquire Call of Duty. I doubt they're going to let this IP continue in the negative direction that it currently is. So, if you're a content creator, don't get too negative on it. I mean, these guys have invested $80 billion in it. And similar to what we see Drake going through with his label, anytime you see a purchase or a deal of this size, when people buy things like this, they're buying it because they know the multiple on what they're purchasing is a certain amount. Like they're buying it with the intention of getting their money back times X. Like when Microsoft bought this, I'm sure they bought Call of Duty because with the multiples in their projections, it said, okay, if we buy Call of Duty, no, I do know this for a fact. The recoup rate for the Call of Duty purchase, they said, is estimated to be about 3 years. So they're estimated to get the $80 billion back in about 3 years, I believe, based on the calculations I read. With that in mind, they're going to be very invested in growing this IP and not letting it die in those 3 years. How do you do that? You don't piss off the people who have sustained this, the people who are the most diehard, the competitors. You know how I know they're really serious about that? Their biggest IP is Halo. And what is more dead and less patronized than the HCS? They've been hemorrhaging the HCS since I was in high school. Literally. The viewership has literally been the same since I was 15 years old, and I'm 26. And they're still putting money into the HCS like it's 2016. I mean, come on, man. Microsoft is very committed. They're one of the most committed, like, companies that we have in esports. So I'm very, like, optimistic on, about the prospect of Microsoft coming in and really turning this around. So I feel like that's a short-term issue. Content, that's a pro issue. Similar to what I said about Scump with that carrier gameplay against Gold Glove, literally in Black Ops 2. Some kid is going to be scrolling YouTube after he gets on Black Ops 6 when he gets his new, I don't know, and he's going to go onto YouTube, and you know what he's going to see? When he Googles Call of Duty, he's going to see Shotzi. And you know what? That makes me really happy. But you know what he's not going to see? A lot of you other pros, because you're not following suit. You guys got to get that content out there. I was watching a lot of people when I was young, when Call of Duty was first starting. I was watching Haggy. Like I said, I watched Fizzerp. I watched Killa. I watched Miracles. I watched Karma. I watched anybody who would stream. I watched Crim. I watched people I wasn't even a fan of. I didn't even like Crim. I would watch his ass. Like, I was just trying to learn how to get better at the game, and that's how Call of Duty is. Like, and I grew to like Crim a lot because of his content with the Albanian tigers and all the shit that he would do in his intros with the weird animals, and it was really entertaining. And I was like, damn, I really like this guy, even though he cooked my team on Warhawk S&D, dropping like 14 on our head tops. Like, I like this guy. He's entertaining. I don't want to, but I like him. You know, Aches, when I saw his personality through content, I was like, you know what? He's a very lovable villain. Like, he's a really entertaining dude. So, a lot of these pros, they're super likable human beings. Like, they're really good at the game. They have some of the best POVs that you'll ever see in life. I mean, come on. When are you going to see a top 0.0001% POV in Call of Duty? Like a pro player. I mean, come on. These guys not broadcasting their POV is actually criminal. Like, bro, you have a golden POV and you're not putting it on people's screens. A lot of people want to see it. People would pay for it. And you could even coach people on how to not be ass at the game, and they pay for that with your content. So, I don't know. A lot of these pros are fumbling the bag by not putting content out there. Because look at Havoc. That dude is killing it. He was just competing in the CDL and MW2, so I don't want to hear it. He's not a pro player anymore. He was just a pro player. I don't want to hear it. And he was doing content not long after that. He was doing content during that. Havoc has been serious for years, and you know what? He stuck with it, and he had those times when the streams weren't doing well, I guarantee you, getting 80 views and stuff. But you know what? I've had those times getting 30 views, whatever. I mean, it happens to me all the time still, and it's a part of life. You gotta keep putting content out there. It doesn't mean you shouldn't build a library and like keep feeding the streets with more content. Like, that's just a lame ass excuse. So pros need to make more content. That's on them. I'll never be a co-signer of people doing less work, especially when you get paid to play video games. Like, come on, bro. People have real jobs, or they're like waking up at the ass crack of dawn to go collect trash, all types of shitty jobs. Like, show some respect. Like, and I'm not saying it to come at any pros, but like some of the entitlement that I see from them saying like, oh, like some of you guys are tripping. Like, no, they're not tripping. Like, your job is really not as difficult as you make it out to be in some cases, and it's not an indictment of you, and it's not meant to disrespect you. We are happy that you got to that point, but it doesn't mean that your job is that hard. So don't get it twisted. Like, it's not meant to be disrespectful, but it's also true. Like, so yeah. Similarly, personality, pros. We don't know a lot of you guys. Like, a lot of you guys are fire human beings. Like, when we get to know you, you are entertaining as fuck. Like, seriously, seriously entertaining dudes. type of guy you want to have a beer with, like bros to the max. But you know what? We don't know who you are if you don't turn on your stream and we only see you in the rare interviews in the CDL. A lot of you guys, when we see you in the interviews in the CDL, you are very charming, like super charming. But we have no idea what you're really like because your streams are never on. I bet a lot of you are really funny and really cool, and people would really fuck with you if you just turned the damn stream on. People want to see. Like I said, y'all got a golden POV, and if I had your POV, I'd be streaming every second of every day I wasn't playing. But that's just me. So effort on both ends, I feel like it's very low at times, and it's just a lot of deadlock, and that leads to the next issue, which is it not being fun for spectators. So we'll talk about that in a second, but I feel like on the side of the players, there's definitely more effort that needs to be provided, and the product that they provide to the fans, consciously providing an entertaining product to the fans, and how they can really involve themselves in the community in terms of making this better, growing it, and keeping it where it is. Like, if you want to keep those fat salaries, you got to stream and keep people interested and get the viewership up and get, the broadcasting deals to a higher clip so people get better contracts and the league sustains itself. And you got to keep greasing up the wheels. You got to be the cog that turns some of these wheels by streaming and getting your name out there and being the scump that carries the league. And Scump gets 100,000, but right, when he turns his stream off, the CDL can still say, hey, Scump had 100,000, we had 50, but the product is getting worse because there's less Call of Duty being observed. No streams, no scrims, no 8s. It's brutal. No 2Ks, no 5Ks, no 10Ks. Yes, a lot of this is on the league, them structuring the tournament scene, all that stuff. Playing ranked is free. Playing with viewers is free. Teaching people how to get better at the game is free. I mean, the videos that these guys used to put out, like when Nade Shot, Scump, these guys used to play with different people. What was that guy's name that Nade Shot played with? Man, he became like a 2K Dirk. There's a guy like Dirk that he played with in League Play like one time. The guy literally became like a caster in NBA 2K, all this other stuff later on. It literally launched his career. You know, like the guys from the mob who went to work on 100 Thieves. They came up in Call of Duty Twitch chats. I mean, thinking about all the different people in the community, like the gaming community, who have come up through Call of Duty, it's because there were people like Nadeshot who were giving a lot of people inlets into the community. That was a part of it too. People like, there's just so many people in the community who have come up just on the content side. There's so many ways for you to help your viewers in ways you don't even understand. Like you, as, I don't know, Dashy, playing with one random viewer, you might launch his whole career. This kid might be, I don't know, the next Faker. You don't know. Like, stuff is random. Like, so you just got to put in that effort. Like the pros, I feel like you guys got to go harder in terms of like making it better for yourselves and the community. Like, I get Activision has like left you guys hanging, but like, what does that have to do with us? Like, you guys have left us hanging. We have no content. Like, a lot of this stuff is not in good faith anymore. Like, we're just sitting here bored as hell. Like, nobody turns on their stream no more. We don't have any way of learning how to get better at the game as like regular players. Like, not people who play a lot like myself, but like people who like don't have friends who are in the competitive community or don't compete themselves. Like they're lost. They don't know rotations, all this other stuff. I try to provide that, but nobody cares what I'm doing. Like I'm a small content creator. Like that's not a knock against myself. I don't have an audience like these guys do. So I'm putting in effort, but like I don't have an audience like that. So yeah, the effort definitely makes a big difference on their ends because like if you have the audience and you're not putting in the effort, then people aren't getting what they need, and I feel like that's just kind of messed up. Obviously, the league, their lack of effort, we've beaten that horse past the point of death. Talk about beating a dead horse. Like, rigor mortis set in years ago. We've beaten that horse so badly to death. Like, I don't even know what else to say about effort on the league's end. Like, that's such a moot point. Like, I'm not even going to touch it. And then the not fun for spectators element, I touched on it a lot with the content, not involving viewers, not and that. But on the league side, not having in-person activations, merch being like mid, you guys not advertising in the game when things are going on, us not having an in-game player to watch matches. Why the hell can't I watch matches from in the game? Like, you guys can definitely do that. You put like all these different little like, well, maybe server cost streaming like that would be kind of crazy, but no, Fortnite does it. They stream whole ass movies. Well, that's not live, to be fair. Maybe that is technically a little bit difficult. So I'll be fair and say that might be a little bit hard to implement. But definitely advertising, saying, hey, there are matches going on today. if you want to check them out, like here's a QR code like they used to. I mean, they even did it in the past, so they can do it. They just choose not to anymore. That's something that makes it not fun for spectators. Like you're not encouraged to watch it, and they don't really make an effort to like say, hey, even though we have skins in the game, the thing that like is attached to the skins, like the whole pro scene and like the teams and everything they're associated with them, yeah, you can watch them here. Like that would be nice to know. But yeah. So we talked about the GAs and stuff. I mean, the GA thing makes it really not fun for spectators. No, I mean, no snipes is crazy. Like the lack of highlights. I mean, I did highlights for a whole year. Not having snipers was definitely like a choice this year. I mean, MW2 was really fun because we had snipers. A lot of my really like well-performing highlights, like I had a dashy clip with the sniper, and it did so well. I mean, it did like 50,000 views, or not 50,000, I'm sorry, like 20,000 views, something like that. Like it did really well for me. So, I don't know, man. Like spectators like snipers. I mean, it is what it is. Like people just want to see that stuff. Like I don't know, man. Like, there has to be a conscious effort on both ends to make this a more enjoyable experience for the spectators because if you're the league and you don't have the majority of the spectators, then you don't have a user base for your game, so therefore you have nothing. And if you're the players and you don't have anyone to watch the league, there's no way that you guys are going to get more broadcasting deals, so you have nothing. So it's on both the league and the players to make this more enticing for the spectators, and it seems that neither one is really intent or focused on that as much as they should be most of the time, which I've always found to be a little bit odd. But I don't know. Like I said, the deadlock between the league and the pros, I feel like has just led to a lot of myopic points of view about certain things and the intentions on both sides. So I feel like the pros are very myopic in their approach to things and they just try to do what they need to do. And the league follows suit because they're just like, hey, we're in a deadlock with the pros. They don't rock with us. We don't rock with them. And basically, they're on smoke. I mean, it's somewhat adversarial. So I don't know. I feel like if someone just tried to like think about the kids in this case with this messy divorce, think things would go a little bit better. Yeah, I mean, effort definitely needs to be made from the pro side, like I said with GAs, and just trying to make the game more fun for people to watch, and on the side of the league. Yeah, and the last thing is obviously the tournaments. I mean, Black Ops 3, IW, et cetera, et cetera. We had 10 plus tournaments in those years. Black Ops 4, we had buku tournaments. Yeah, like, I don't know, man. Like, we have 4 tournaments this year. It's pretty rough. Like, no challengers lands this year that are confirmed. I mean, not really, not great. So, the league definitely needs to up their tournament game. The online tournament scene is in shambles ever since we lost game battles. It's just been really rough. So, yeah, the league definitely needs to get more tournaments on the board. I don't know how they're going to do that necessarily, but there's a lot of money allocated to this. Probably just reallocation in a different way. But I don't know how expensive the events are to put on, so it's very presumptive. Yeah, I hope they put on more tournaments, but I know that's definitely one thing that we need more in-person activations, more tournaments, and honestly more inlets for the teams to make money. Like, how is this league supposed to sustain itself if the teams and the league aren't moneying? Like, how is that supposed to work long term for the players? Like, where's the money for the contracts going to come from? The abyss? Reinvestment from the league into the teams via stipends? Like, that doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, I get the whole long-term stability thing in the wake of like Black Ops 4 with the Midnight Esports thing, where you had Envoy and Major Maniac going to Gen G, then you had Parzillion going to Mazer or something, and then you had Brack, of course, going to LG with Formal and Skies. That was a super mess and very embarrassing for the league because that was like a top-ranked team. But I feel like this is a little bit much, just over tightening, right? Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like we should have more tournaments. There should be more inlets for amateur teams and pro-ams and things. And I feel like we should just kind of let bygones be bygones and just kind of go back to the CWO vibes. Who knows how likely that is? Maybe Microsoft changes things in the near future when they finally are able to implement some of the long-standing changes that I'm sure they've been waiting to since they first tried to start this deal and the acquisition. I'm sure that like riding the ship with esports, considering how much of a commitment they've shown with HCS and with Gears of War up until the very end, up until it was just ridiculous. Like Gears of War was so dead. Like when they pulled the plug on Gears of War, it was so dead. I mean, I was sad, but I understood. Like they were just like, look, guys, like this is a money pit. I mean, come on. Like, nobody plays Gears. Nobody watches this. Like, come on. So I get it. The game was dead. It had run its course at the time. And even guys like Explosives and them had retired. So it was like super dead. So yeah, I mean, with Microsoft coming in, I feel like the tournaments and everything will be a lot better. It'll become a lot healthier, much like the HCS. Because HCS, they don't have the viewership that Call of Duty has. So with an infusion of huge viewership, I feel like Microsoft would be very motivated to keep going about for us and to keep delivering us value. Yeah, so that'll just about wrap it up for me. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I don't know why I felt the need to make this video, or if any of this stuff that I made will be seen by anybody that matters or anybody at all. But decided to make it. This is just my perspective. This is something that I've noticed that I think is really pertinent to talk about. There's a lot of things that need to change. I think they will change. I think it's just a matter of time. So don't give up on Call of Duty, guys. Like we might be in a bit of a rough patch, but we've been through quite a few rough patches in this esport if you've been around the block like I have, and things have always gotten better. So I have faith that things will definitely get better. Microsoft looks to be the best hope that we have of Microsoft and Activision becoming more of a meritocracy and less of like a weird, inefficient oligarchy like it was being run the way it was. We're not going to get into all that. But yeah, I have a lot of faith in Microsoft cleaning this up and making this like whole again. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed this format, if you differ from me in any sort of way, be sure to let me know with a comment down below. If you like this video, be sure to drop a like. If you want more content from your boy, please be sure to drop a sub, and I will catch you guys on the next video. Once again, this is Chris from Fake Sports News, Axis Rotation, however the flip you found me, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Hope you have a great morning, noon, or night wherever you be on this beautiful planet. And yeah, catch you on the next video. Peace.